All right, we got the white pieces, Queen's Gambit. Someone's playing properly. They're actually defending the d-pawns. Fantastic to see. Okay, it's amazing. I think we actually have a, I think we actually have a main line here. Bishop g5. Takes bishop g5. Wow, what a beautiful thing. And now it's important to support the pawn here. Some people play like h6 and it's like, no, you just lose the d-pawn. Okay, e3. Now that we've got our bishop developed, play e3 makes perfect sense. If black plays bishop f5 to maybe stop us from playing bishop d3, I'd probably play queen f3, which is a nice move. But as for this, we can be the first one to the f5 square. We'll keep the bishop, and even though knight f3 is perfectly fine, I usually find myself liking knight ge2 a little bit better. Queen a5, I don't really know what this does. I mean, maybe a pin, but we want a castle anyway, so let's just do that. This doesn't seem like a very good move, and this doesn't seem like a very good follow-up here. So first thing I'm looking at is just like the basics. Like, let's just win a pawn. This is the whole reason that c6 was played. You're gonna play c6 and then c5. I don't know what this queen is doing here. I don't know what this pawn is doing. Just take a freebie in the center. And we have a huge threat of taking and doubling the pawns there. So maybe knight d7 will be played. You could see that. Queen d8, perhaps will be played. Yeah, knight d7 makes the most sense. Even though bishop f5 is very tempting, I'm seeing pawn takes here, and I don't really know what. Yeah, if you take on d7, take on d5. So I think maybe taking makes the most sense here. Yeah, thinking of other moves. We could take, but you know what I might do first? I might include this move. I think it's just a smarter move order because black can play queen d8, but I don't think it's very likely. Normally I would want to take here. Okay, takes. I suppose we can take this with a check. We're up one pawn here. We're gonna have an amazing position. Oh no. You're kidding me. Why do you play? Oh no. What? How can you play pawn takes after knight there? It's crazy. I got no words for that one. This is a real bad pawn structure right here, folks. This is a real rough pawn structure. Let's play it safe. I say safe because the bishop's moving to that all-important square where it covers every single square the knight wants to move to. Like rook c1, rook d1, probably f4 to remove this knight. Just all the basics here. Not only do we have an extra pawn, this pawn structure is just horrible, so not a great position. I'm thinking that f4 makes good sense here with bishop f3 to follow. Ooh. Okay, it goes the knight there. I think we're just going to take this. Keep it real simple. And in this case, I say simple because he's got a light square bishop. We can just ignore pretty much everything. All I need is one rook to, defend this, and that's it. f5 almost traps the bishop, but not quite. Not quite. Maybe rook e5 is a bit annoying, so we'll keep that in mind, though. f5 and h3 is an idea. Bishop here. I mean, this move wins a lot of material, so I think we're just going to take it. And rook e1 and rook e2 is going to be the good follow-up here. So I imagine he's going to play rook c8 or something. All right, we have a pretty good position. How many pawns do we have? 1, 2. Let's go here. 1, 2, 3. Rook e2 will keep everything protected. And I think we can start thinking about moves like g4. We go. Yeah, almost this move looks looks good there. We'll start with h3. Yeah, e4 is an idea. Let's take this one. You can't go back there. Don't do it. Oh, I said don't do it. I said don't do it. Win that rook. And I think we'll be able to close out the game from here. GG. That's tough. Yep, I was thinking of e4 with f5, but you know what? We didn't need it. We have a lot of pawns there. 2, 3 pawns. But I am happy about one thing. Probably one of the first times that we've actually seen somebody play a legitimate, like a real legitimate attempt in the opening. This is actual theory. I'm in shock that we finally saw it. Bishop e7, h6, maybe not the best, but sure. Knight g2. Up to here, perfectly fine. Knight d7, rook e8. These are all, these would all be fine moves. Now, my recommendation for the Queen's Gambit is not the standard knight f3, e5, but to take early, bishop out, play e3 only after you move the bishop, and then develop so you can play knight e2. And as I said, if black tries to stop us from playing bishop d3, I have this nice move, queen f3, where we'll be able to double these pawns no matter what here. And so we usually get to play bishop d3. And I don't really understand queen a5, don't really understand c5. Obviously, these moves are very disconnected from the position. And at this point, we have a very good position. So, okay, we got d5. And let's play a Queen's Gambit declined ourselves with black. I'll just keep it simple. Yeah, I guess usually after bishop d3 is not a bad time to exchange here because the bishop's already moved. That's standard practice. You don't want to capture on c4 when the bishop just recaptures in one move. I'm gonna play a6 here. e4, respect. I probably am going to be playing these moves. I think I'll start with b5, mainly because bishop d3, you start to worry about maybe losing a pawn. So, ooh, interesting. Didn't think he was going to do that. I think this makes sense without looking into it too much, mainly because just like anytime you take the light squared bishop in this opening, I feel like it has to be a good thing. So we'll go ahead with that. What now? Bishop b7, knight d7, queen c7. I think knight e4 is kind of annoying, so I might start with bishop b7, queen e2, queen d3 perhaps. This bishop is really strong here, but yeah, I actually expect queen e2. I think that's a good looking move. Or queen a4. All of these moves are possible, but queen a4 just has the problem that once again those doubled isolated pawns kind of make an appearance there. Okay, knight d2 is getting out of the way of the bishop f3 idea and threatening the c pawn, so it's definitely a productive move. I'm feeling like queen d3 makes good sense for us here. I still think one of these two moves is possible, but now bishop takes on c3 is also playable. Yeah, he goes here. That makes sense. If we take, I think we're a bit better there. That's a good option. What else? We could take here and just play like knight d7. Knight takes on c5. I think that would be perfectly fine as well, but getting the feeling that taking on c3 might be the best. It's tough. I mean, giving up the bishop pair doesn't feel great, but I don't think this pawn structure is I don't think it's very good. So what do we do? Rook here. Knight here. A little bit of both. Let's start with the knight. Yeah, we need to defend this bishop. I mean, rook a7 kind of gets the job done, but nobody likes that move. Not impressive. Let's go here because I actually don't want the knight to be able to play knight c4 in the future. It looks like a very useful square, so we'll try to do this and, you know, maybe trade these pawns 1 for 1. Okay, he's hanging on to it. Maybe I got to do the same here. Got me thinking now. Also got bishop a4, so I feel like I can always going for the insane pawn formation here. What do we go here? May as well. Looks cool. Okay, he's not letting me have my fun here. Let's go bishop here. Definitely that would be a pretty serious mistake. Let's take here. Maybe we can put him in a... Let's take there. I was going to say, maybe we can put him in a position where we're pinning him pretty nicely, but in the end, we're just going to win a pawn. I'm assuming knight here. Double the rooks. Rook c2 definitely looks like a good move. Gotta like be a little bit mindful of this knight, but I think this is a really strong piece. So rook takes a2 and this. Just gotta make sure we don't get mated here, but I'm gonna just assume that it's not mate. I do think we maybe could have taken there and gone rook c2, but we don't need to hang a piece for no reason. We're attacking the bishop, so this should be a pretty reliable next move. Now we're hitting this and this. Got to be careful. I think he's just chucking checks at me without really thinking. And rook takes there could lead to something. Let's take this. He's probably gonna throw some checks at me. Remember, we're trying to activate this. He's got rook e4, but that's about it. He's about to get mated. Yeah, rook e4 is probably the last check that he had, but he was running out of them. GG. GG Poodle Nuclear. As far as Queen's Gambits go, this was an interesting one. Overall, e4, e5. I mean, this isn't how we would want any of our Queen's Gambits to go, so not something to learn from. Never want to just lose your light squared bishop in exchange for a knight like this, but still, the game's somewhat balanced. After this, like, material's technically even, so not the worst game, but I definitely wouldn't recommend, trading your light squared bishop for a knight. All right. Let's go with the Queen's Gambit. Crazy not to with a username like this. Okay, very standard stuff here, which means I'm going to take. We've seen this variation in the past. Now, again, we've talked about this and we've seen it a few times. It's a very good move. It's fine. But I will say most people don't play it properly. So let's see how my opponent continues here. So far, so good. That's a perfectly fine move here. Let's defend. Okay, this move's all right. It allows me to play d5, which immediately stands out to me, and I think I'm just going to play it. You really are supposed to take and give bishop b4 check and then get castled quickly. Because what's going to happen here is we're going to get bishop b5 check and castle quickly ourselves. So what black was supposed to be able to achieve, we are now going to be able to do. And any kind of, I don't know, trickery like that, bishop d2 guards our rook. This does not look like does not look like a move that you should be excited to play. Let's give this check. So bishop d7. First things first, if we play queen e2, bishop e7 loses after that. Queen e2, queen e7, we can trade the bishop on d7 and then follow up with either knight e5 or bishop e3, and the king will have moved for no reason. And then on top of all that, maybe there's like queen a4, which is another attempt. But queen e2 looks fine to me and very difficult to react to. Yep, so he's hopeful that he's going to get a queen trade, but we're not going to allow that. By playing bishop e3 or knight e5 check, it's just not going to be an option. Knight e5 actually looks very good. But I'm worried that maybe f6 is going to force me to trade afterwards. That would be annoying. Like, this is definitely the simpler move, but I feel like knight e5 is, I think it's better. But it's just, it may end up in a queen trade, which I definitely do not want. So let's go here. Castles. Okay, he's pushing. I think it's, we should probably castle. Okay, so he's maybe going to try to castle long here. First thought is immediately go and try to bother this knight. Okay, we have two checks possible, and rook b5 and rook takes a5 is almost a guaranteed idea for us. Okay, queen here should be a pretty nice move. Also, knight d4 looks great next, heading to some juicy squares. Ooh, that check just cannot be cannot be the move. There's no way. I think we'll start with this. f6 loses immediately, so yeah, I don't know what you even do here. But clearly black is in a terrible position because the king's in the middle of the board. King side's not developed. I mean, look at our position. I also think something like rook takes b6 could be quite useful, especially if a king ends up moving to d8. Honestly, knight takes here, I think it's just the best move because queen f6 is extremely likely and loses the game immediately. King takes, and I guess we're gonna play this, and we have a really nice move here, queen h5, which will win the game after rook e1. But no surprise that black can't survive with the king out in the open like this. No surprise at all. Let's give check, and two pieces sidelined here. Yeah, there's not much to say. Let's give check, and I think we just want to lift the rook. Another idea is maybe to play d6. Let's try this. Also rook e1. This pawn is defended, not that really matters. Let's go like that. Now rook g4 and rook e8 is mate, so it's a pretty nice one there. GG. So what's the bottom line? The bottom line is knight takes d5 is a good move. It's good. People play it at the top level. Magnus Carlsen plays this move. He's played it before. Many people have. It's a fantastic variation. But do people under 2,000 blitz on chess.com have any clue about that variation? No. So for that reason, I would say this is a critical mistake because most players have no clue how you're supposed to play it. And you cannot play a move that does not recapture with a pawn in the middle unless you know exactly how to follow it up. Because overall, this breaks a lot of opening principles. It's not a good looking move. I just get the whole center and it's like, what? This position sucks. It's only good if you know how to follow up. And you specifically usually go for something like this and castle and okay. And counterattack the center. That's fine. It's fine. But you got to know what to do. Everyone that I've seen so far in this speedrun that's played knight takes d5 hasn't had a clue what to do, and they've either taken, giving me the whole center, or sometimes they play knight back to f6. Like it's really just not a good position. So for weaker players, I would definitely say just keep the pawn in the center. Is a much better move to play. And everyone that's played knight takes d5 has gotten a really bad opening, so not something that I think you need to be worried about. All right, d4, c4, and we have a Slav. Okay, let's see what happens after knight c3. Play e3. This is usually how I play this one. Against the Slav, I don't usually bring the bishop out. Just don't have time for it. And then the variations where black takes and hangs onto the pawn can be a little annoying. All right, bishop g4. So knight f3 is perfectly fine here. Queen b3 also makes a lot of sense. There's also f3, but I would say that could be a little annoying. I'll go ahead and play knight f3, and I think we'll get a very standard looking position after e6. Now let's have a look at this one. h3. Is he going to just go ahead and give me the bishop? No, he's not. Well, let's test him. g4, knight e5, and h4 is... Usually it takes some understanding to not lose a piece here. So let's see how our opponent does. Because h5 is quite scary. I think we're already going to be up a piece here. Remember, after bishop e4, we do have f3. And we can also take, but I mean, I think it's time to win the piece. Knight e5, yeah, we're going to have a bit of a weird position here, but we'll have a weird position with an extra piece. Thank you very much. So once again, it's what you're seeing is kind of the reaffirmation, the reassurance that you truly can't develop your light squared bishop easily in this opening. It's not, yeah, it's not something you can do. I guess we'll take, just because that pawn was hanging on c4. I think black should castle and certainly not entertain anything here. He does take, though. Not my recommendation. Queen a4 forces the knight to go back. Maybe we get a bunch of trades there. So I think that helps us out. Yeah, then this move is covered here. So probably black has to castle and then throw in bishop takes c3 in order to not lose a piece here. Let's take, we're not going to try to, like, you know, grab a pawn here and be extra greedy, but we just have a full extra bishop, so I think this will be perfectly fine. This bishop also is covering everything, so I actually feel kind of safe and empowered to play h6. Maybe queen d4 next, or queen f4 if black plays something like that. Okay, he's got rook e4 next. It means I think I want to start with this. I'm assuming we'll see f6, sadly for me. Sadly for my fun. It's got to be f6. I guess you can take on h6, but that move doesn't look very good. Let's take rook e4. I think we'll drop back. Could also play queen d2 and then head over to h2. That looks pretty good. Yes, because he's got this threat, I'm a little bit more interested in swapping the queen around this way. Let's try it. Queen f4 would just lose, unfortunately. It's definitely a brave move from him. Let's get our bishop off the back rank. Rook g1. Queen takes f6. Let's start with this, I guess. Queen h4. Probably queen f5 or queen g6. Oh, okay. That move looks terrible. Let's see how he survives. I would not recommend ever taking that. Effectively, my pawn on that square was almost like his pawn on that square. It was keeping the king safe. Taking it opens up the g file, and I think he's just lost now. Okay, we got to get over here with the rook. Queen e7, and then immediately it's like, how do I get the pieces down there to make a threat? Let's try rook here. We have this threat. We also have rook h6, and rook takes h7 as an idea. And I want to activate this darn bishop. Just do this. I think c4 and try to play bishop c3 here. We have pressure there, and bishop c3 is coming. Can we offer a trade here? I really just want to play bishop here. That's all I'm looking to do. There'll be some sacrifice, I can promise you. Once we play bishop c3, some good things will happen. Okay, where are they? Put my king over here. I don't want any trickery. Okay, fine. I'll take it. It was still a tough game because, you know, our pawn formation is pretty terrible, honestly, after winning a piece. But if we're being honest, was it a tough game? Like, we won a piece very, very early here. I just think the majority of players are going to fall for this. It's not like it wins a piece by force, but you really have to have a good understanding of the opening to genuinely not lose material after h4. Because it's difficult, right? If you play h5 or h6, I mean, you're in trouble because of knight takes g6 and g5. It's extremely unpleasant. It might even be worse than losing a piece, actually. So you'd have to be familiar with the move being d takes c4 here so that you can save your bishop. That's not an easy move to find. And of course, I can still take the bishop, play bishop c4. We have a great game, but most people are just not going to find this move. It's not intuitive. And yeah, here I would say probably one of the better moves is queen b3. Usually when the bishop moves, it's like magnetic reaction. We play queen b3, but I wanted to play a more standard opening, and it was nice that we got a chance to look at that idea. All right, Frosty Giant. Okay, I think we can get back into Queen's Gambit territory, and yes, we can. Knight c3, here it comes. Okay, we see g6, which these are like kind of Grunfeld setups. To be honest with you, playing bishop f4 and playing like this is actually really smart here, but I'm going to keep it very much within the realm of Queen's Gambit structures, and so we'll just do this. This move I do not think is very good. Let's take here and immediately play queen b3, and we'll see how black wants to handle that. To be honest, we could probably take here, but he doesn't really have a way of defending, so let's just recapture. Okay, knight here. I think maybe just castle. We're kind of up a clear pawn here. we could try to be difficult with like trying to play bishop a3, but I think we just take our extra pawn to the bank, and that's all we need here. Queen needs to be removed. Just go to a6. We can maybe try to sneak out there, but I don't actually think that's the way to do things. Bishop what, d2? So knight h5 is coming. Got to be at least aware of the next series of moves. For that reason, I would say getting the bishop back in defense, that could feel like a strong idea. Bishop f1 and like head to g2. Okay, we can recoup all of our pieces here, and we might actually be able to do b3 first. Very greedy of me, but I don't want to deal with knight c4. Feels like he set up his entire game for knight c4. No way. Bishop d2 against one of these moves. And we can always bring our queen back as well. We have an extra pawn, so I'm just trying to run away with it. This also maybe has the idea of bishop a3 as well. King h1 is fine, but I think I'm going to play bishop here. Knight f5. We always have queen f1, like absolute worst case, but I think we can try f4 and queen back to e2. All right, you're going to give me an opportunity to bring my queen back and offer a trade. I'm definitely going to take that. Okay. Here, or do we just go bishop here? This looks like it makes a bit more sense. Rook d8, obviously. No, queen d8. Get rid of this knight. And I think we're going to win material here. Obviously, the trade would be fantastic. And okay, he's just going to allow that. Perfect. Well, we're up material here. And we should definitely play f4. Just solidify that entire thing. Okay, here comes g5. I do think we should take this. There's not really going to be any danger except on that one square. So for example, if I play h3, not really seeing where the problem is going to be. Let's see, can we attack maybe like this and like rook c6? So I'm wondering, how do you actually keep this defended? The knight's pretty bad. Bishop here, maybe rook c7. And bishop here, same idea, I think. Rook c7 nevertheless. Yeah, we do have to deal with queen here. It ain't my favorite, but bishop to f1. Bishop to f1. All right. I'll have to admit. Or not bishop to f1. I'm sorry. Bishop e1, of course. I have to admit that's a little bit annoying. Maybe h3. Oh, I really like h3, actually. I think we try h3 and go for queen g4. So knight e4 will actually be helpful, so hopefully he plays it. Just because I think trading these queens makes our position much better. I think we can go ahead and, I was going to say pre-move that, but probably no need. Let's go like this. The knight has to go back to d7 because I think knight e4 allows me to... Oh, that's no good. It's unfortunate because this position is going to be a little bit easy to play. I guess I'll just bring my king over. A close fight from Frosty Giant. It seems like what's been happening actually is I've been running into players that have been playing very reasonable and decent games, but pretty awful openings, if I'm being honest. Like, I haven't really run into anyone who's been out of the opening, like first 8 to 10 moves with a good position. So our Queen's Gambit seems highly effective. Now the players themselves, despite, you know, not the best opening, I feel like everyone's been giving a very tough game. But nobody knows what to do against the Queen's Gambit, which is weird because I thought this was kind of the most popular opening with d4, like even more popular than the London, for example. Even though g6, bishop g7 happened, I think it's fair to say we're operating with the same idea. Light square bishop develops to f5 or g4. What do? Immediate knee-jerk reaction of bringing our queen to b3. And you just have this relationship between the queen and the pawns. You just can't keep everything defended. Double attack, plain and simple. All right, let's hit him with d4. And we get c5, so again, no point in trying to be a Queen's Gambit hero here. Let's just play this. Knight c3, e4. I think I'll play bishop e2. Just so that bishop g4, we can play knight d2. I feel like that does make more sense. All right, what are we going to do here? e6, huh? We could take it, but I think I might leave it there. Let's leave it there. No Queen's Gambit for us, but still d4, you know, so it's very important to have a clue what to do in this position. Knight h5, I mean, yeah, it's bothering the bishop, but we can just save that piece pretty nicely here. a6, a4 is a pretty classic 1-2. If black plays a6, I'll play a4. That's a guarantee. Rook e1. I don't know. Queen d2. Okay. That does not look like the right move. Although there's queen h4. I don't believe it, though. Queen h4, I just save my bishop, and I'm up a piece there. Not to mention, there's maybe f4. Maybe f4. Yeah, I knew he would play here. I definitely don't think it's good. Let's think. I mean, f4 bishop takes on c3 does not look correct, but just bishop f3, like it's, I don't know, it's not checkmate. I have to play this. Maybe, you know, we still get into some trouble, but you gotta play this. h5, so he's basically trapping his own queen in there. Well, let's just keep running here. Just gonna beeline it out of there. Bishop here. Yeah, rook h1 doesn't work, but I think we can take this. Queen takes g2. We have rook g1, which looks winning. Bishop takes, king takes to even stop queen there. Yeah, I think trading queens is really important here, but rook takes g4. Also perfectly fine. You're never really going to convince me away from a move like that. Trading the queens, it just makes it too easy. I have an extra piece, so like, come on. It can't be bad. Do we take this, or do we just go collect? Do we just go collect that pawn? I feel like this is a bit more annoying for black to deal with. Taking here would be extremely good. Just take this now. Very nice. I mean, we have a clear extra. Yeah, 96 will most likely be missed. But king g8 could be played. But like I said, most likely missed. So fix that pawn there as a weakness, and then we can go collect it here. and then send the pawn home. And cut the king off, make our checkmate a little bit easier. GG. As I said, not a Queen's Gambit game, but very important to perform here. D5, certainly what I recommend if people are playing like C5, E5. I mean, you're not going to be able to play Queen's Gambit, so don't pretend, like, don't get a worse Queen's Gambit position to try to make it look like one. No, just play D5. Remember, I mean, we're dealing with things like the King's Indian. We already have many setups that we need to learn by just starting with D4. So for sure against C5 makes sense to play the best move, D5. And yeah, I think the position is pretty comfortable here. Nothing special, but these Benoni structures are never that good for black. So if your opponent's trying to play them, just say thanks very much and play into them. I wouldn't try to avoid them. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. So yeah, I would probably play H3. He ended up playing knight at H5, but A6, I would play A4. We want to play H3 to stop this and give the bishop a square. Rook E1 for sure. Queen D2. Knight D2, Knight C4 is another idea. Works really well with the A pawn push and puts pressure on this guy. Knight B5, if he doesn't really play A6, definitely comes to mind. But black has just a hard time developing. Like Knight D7 can't really be played. Not really sure where the counterplay is coming from. And well, as you can see, there were some big problems here. Chess Naldo. Okay. We're going to play D4. We're definitely not going to have a Queen's Gambit position here. And so, as I often caution, Knight C3 too early allows an idea with C5 that I don't really care for. Interesting. I think we should probably just take maybe everything with the pawn. This is a... I don't really know how to describe it. It's like a pre-move, 97, opening. I've seen it a few times, and it can definitely work out. What is the most Queen's Gambit here? I don't really know that there is an answer. Let's just take and defend our pawn, I guess. Castle. Also knight f4 looks reasonable. Knight d7, we can maybe drop the bishop in anticipation of knight b6. And yes, we'll lose the pawn maybe after g5, but he's gonna have to play g5, you know? It's not the move that you want to play. So, I mean, look, you're not happy playing that, my friend. I already know it. I already know it. There's no way you're happy there. Just can't be. Takes followed by, I don't know, even f4 seems like an idea. Definitely, I think we should take. Let's try to keep defending this. That looks like it'll piss him off real good. You know, a5. Oops. Well, bring that up there. All right. So here comes, you know, rook there as an idea, which means we got to get moving, get defending. Let's bring the rook over. I'm thinking of h4. Looks pretty nice. Queen e4 and then queen e5. We also have queen f4. But we have to be careful of knight d5 there. I think queen f4 is the move. Yeah, knight d5, we have queen takes h6. Takes. Very hard to continue after that rook d8 also doesn't work. So honestly, I feel like you might spend some time play knight d5 here, but we've already worked that one out. Okay, bishop d7. I think taking and playing bishop f4 is very good here. I'm wondering about this move though, queen e5, because that looks almost more unpleasant. But we can just keep it simple with this. I wonder, I don't really know what the best move is. Takes, knight e4. Knight e4 kind of looks like something. Got a couple hanging pawns ourselves, but we also have things we can take. Okay. What do we want to take here? It's amazing because I'm seeing variations that don't 100% look like they work. Let's start with this one. So this should fall no matter what. Bishop f5, then knight takes d6. So maybe knight c8. The material is technically equal, but it's equal just this second. All right, we have one pawn. It's amazing, right? For our troubles. For our troubles. Okay. This is not looking good for him. Actually, we should probably stop over and take this. Oh, never mind. And we can now make a billion moves over here. Gotta outrun the lad. It's a foot race. If I didn't outsprint him there, we could have lost. I think he had a little bit more time than us, but you know, I trust my internet connection. Always pull through. Good job breaking through in the endgame with some strong maneuvers. Thank you. Thank you. In fact, it felt that way. It felt like we did break through with some strong maneuvers, so I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't, I just think this is unnecessary to allow. Because it'll just transpose if we do it this way. I haven't seen this opening too many times. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to just lose a pawn like this, but hey, I've seen it before. Well done. You made it to the end of another episode in the Queen's Gambit speedrun. Make sure to like the video and leave a comment down below if you enjoyed. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure to click that subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you never miss the next episode.